Hey guys, so we spent a little bit of time recently talking about what we call like the dynasties, the greatest teams of all time and stuff like that. There's another type of league and type of situation that's become very popular among baseball replayers in recent years. This is what many of us in the APBA world know as OFAS. This is after the old APBA set, the original franchise all-stars, where the idea is that you're looking for the best season for every single player that is out there, or alternatively, cards created based upon lifetime statistics or based upon statistics from a certain amount of time, like from here to there and so on and so forth. So I wanted to talk about one of these sets. It used to be back in the old days of Skeetersoft. I think there were a number of these. There is one that is currently still sold as part of NPIII. It's called Fast L, which is the franchise all-star team lifetime. The L indicates that cards are based on lifetime performance. So we'll go ahead and take a look. I just so happen to own this set. I used to have the card copy. I think I sold that years ago, and now I have the electronic copy. We'll just go ahead and take a look here at the screen and go through it. So as you can see, I'm over here on the options page. This set is interesting to look at because it's a little bit different than what you'd expect. And you can see that right off the bat, if we look at the starting lineups, and we have the Baltimore Orioles. Here's Brady Anderson. So it has the statistics up here, of course, but there are some things that are missing, right? You'll notice right off the bat that there is no E. There is no little e at all for this set because that's the way that it was created. This was created before little e was a thing. There are other things that are missing and are different here as well. For example, the pitcher ratings are based on earned run average as opposed to being based on batters or the batter's average against the specific pitcher. And so you'll see different types of ratings, right? Jim Palmer, for example, grade 14. I'm not sure if he'd have such a high rating normally or not. But that can cause some issues and some challenges. Now, what I will say about this set, though, is that a lot of this stuff has been it's been sort of worked out, and it's been kind of massaged a little bit to get rid of the issues that you tend to have with these types of sets. Especially if you played the old APBA OFAS set, you know that you have issues because all of your pitchers are like A's, and what that means is that a lot of the base hits do not end up being hits. And so batting averages are depressed a bit. Whether that should happen or not in this type of league is like your opinion, man. It doesn't really matter. There's no right or wrong answer. However, you do know that you should not have a high percentage of hits going for extra bases, which is what you get if you play with the OFAS set. My understanding with this, at least, is that this is designed so that you don't quite have that same problem. I do think as well that a lot of the boards and the way that the boards are created sort of helps to alleviate that issue. I actually haven't looked at this set for a long time, so it'll be interesting to look at certain players. Of course, the one that we always want to look at is Babe Ruth, who has, unfortunately, a double column card. Kind of wish the build would have made a single column. But you'll see he has a pitching rating as well, right? He has a rating 13 as a pitcher with a Q rating that's very good to account for his time as a pitcher. This is one of the ways that we know that this Ruth card is actually based on the lifetime and not just based on a small number of years. So interesting to go through and to just look at different players and sort of see what you come up with. There are 30 teams, I believe. I'm trying to look back here. Yeah, it's 30 players per team, so there are 30 teams overall, I believe. And that does not include, I think, two recent teams. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, there's no Arizona Diamondbacks, and I think there's another team that we're missing here as well. But what the other thing you'll notice is I think that Montreal doesn't have a team, I think, is the other one that's combined with Washington. Anyway, it's been a long time since I've gone through this. They're combined either with Washington or Tampa Bay. I'm guessing they're combined with Washington. Yeah, click over here and it's Moises Alou right away. Oh, that's right. The reason why is because the old Washington Senators are combined with the Minnesota Twins. It's been a little while. If you click around, you can sort of figure this out and see. Yeah, here's... I guess Harmon Killebrew was a Twin. You should have Walter Johnson. There he is. So Walter Johnson is on the Minnesota Twins, grade 16 pitcher. Back when this was played with cards and dice, of course, you could just take cards out and move them around as much as you want. You can do that here, but it's a little bit harder. You have to create transactions and do all those things. The thing I wanted to show off, of course, first of all, are the Japanese leagues. So there were two special teams that are part of this. It might actually be 32 teams. I can't remember if it's 30 or 32. Somebody can correct me down below. But there are cards for Japanese players. So if you want to look up, I don't know, Victor Starfin, who's a famous pitcher from the World War II era. This is what he looks like. This has not been adjusted the way that you normally would for Japanese players. So what that means is that Starfin looks like a really, really good pitcher. This isn't adjusted for the gap that we know exists between the American major leagues and the Japanese major leagues at the time. Now, how significant that gap was, we don't really know. We can guess, but he's going to play like Victor Starfin no matter what. And so, it might be harder to play against this team than you would think. We can also see Sadaharu O, who actually got the single column card, so don't know why Ruth couldn't. But this is the card that he winds up with, which looks a little bit more like it. The other thing we'll look at, of course, are the old black baseball players, the Negro Leagues, and this is another team that, again, is designed to work with this set. Satchel Paige has a grade 18, probably one of the best pitchers in the entire set, which is deservedly so. We can look too quickly at Josh Gibson, who has another one of these cards. He also got a single column card. Don't know what was wrong with Ruth. On and on. You can go through all sorts of these players and sort of have fun looking at them and figuring out what kind of lineups you have. Now, when you click on this here, there is a default lineup that's saved. So you can see that there is sort of a lineup that I think Bill came up with over time to sort of show how, at least in theory, this was going to go. And I suppose this is going to be your pitching rotation. I don't know. You'd have to actually spend some time looking through this to figure this out. One of the things I think you'll notice, so if we go back here to the lineup, can we display player card? Yeah, it will give you an estimate of the number of games started and games pitched overall. So if you have all of the cards in front of you, you can kind of figure out from this who your starting rotation should be. Although I'm guessing that everybody's going to be big in starting. It's kind of up to you. I mean, all of these guys have 35 games started. Oh yeah, we have Hilton Smith now batting first. That was a good idea. Hilton Smith also has 35 starts as a Smokey Joe Williams. I just realized that he has a grade 20 and a 21 as a reliever. This guy's going to be kind of hard to go against. So you do that for all of the teams, right? Part of the joy of this project is like figuring out which players would be on your favorite all-star teams, for each one of these teams. You go to like the Cubs, right? And you can look through this and say, okay, yeah, you have Sandberg, interesting hitting leadoff. I'm not sure if you want to have that happen or not. Ever hear of Hack Wilson? Well, there he is hitting fourth. Frank Chance hitting third, which is interesting. Chance ends up having a little bit of a rating as a catcher, but of course he was not a great catcher. And look at this, Maddox ends up on the Cubs instead of on the Braves, so that's interesting to know. I think that these rosters were made in part, designed in part to have some sort of parity between these teams so that it's not like one team is dominating, the other teams are not, and so on and so forth. Anyway, a whole bunch of fun you can have with this. I actually haven't played with this set. I'd never played with the card and dice set. I just took them out and put them in order. So if you have my old cards, you know that they were unplayed with when you bought them from me. I've never played with this computer set either. I've always thought this sort of project would be a real interesting one to do. And in fact, it's very interesting to write about this kind of thing as well. We might do a little bit more of that in the future. But at any rate, thought I would show you this and give you sort of a sneak peek as to what this stuff looks like. It's just one of the many kind of fun things that are out there that not a lot of people talk about. Those of you who are Strat-O-Matic fans might... I don't think Strat-O-Matic ever came out with a set like this. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I was looking for that, and I've never seen any evidence of one. So, this might be sort of a new thing for you or something like that. I don't know. Enjoy it while it lasts, and I definitely recommend at least giving it a look. Would be nice to have a version updated with like the little E, although I don't think the little E really matters that much here necessarily. You'd have to think about whether it matters or not. Would be nice to have a roster update and stuff like that. Maybe we can put this all on our Christmas list, something like that. So let Bill know. Anyway, leave it at that. I will talk with you again later. Bye.